So, where should we begin? I invite people to come to me with a range of questions that include romantic relationships or families or friendships, or especially our relationship to work. She has a company that she co-founded. She brought her 2 brothers in to work with her. And she realizes, as the company is struggling and may have to close or sell, that what's important for her is to not lose only the company, but that the risk of losing her brothers is what really stands in the way. How does she go back to them, engage them into a courageous conversation about the family bond? Interestingly, she calls them always my brothers. She doesn't call them by their title. And because they haven't been named by their title, the expectations and the accountability have been greatly challenged as well. I'm Esther Perel. Join me for another episode of Where Should We Begin?
Hi, Esther. The context of my question is that around 10 years ago, my business partner and I established a company together. That company has grown and been successful across most of that last decade, during which both of my brothers have joined and been promoted into leadership positions. Around 3 years ago, my relationship with my business partner deteriorated. We both had some personal issues which impacted our professional relationship. So I decided to take a step back. I've taken a non-executive role. I've explored some other really exciting opportunities. So whilst I retain a directorship and a shareholding, I'm no longer involved in the day-to-day running of the business. That arrangement worked really well. We had some teething problems, but the first year was pretty successful. But during the second year, the company has unfortunately started to fail. I believe we've had a good strategy, but the implementation's been poor, and the relationships between my brothers and my business partner have also broken down at times. We're in a position now where we hope to sell, but we may well have to close the business and make the team redundant. And that's a process I'm really struggling with. Some of that's about old stories and myself, so I feel very responsible for my family, for my team, for my clients, for my business partner. I feel ashamed that I haven't done my job well enough to keep the business thriving and successful. But I'm also struggling a lot with a lot of sadness and some feelings of anger, because I feel like I've placed trust in people who I care about very deeply. And I'm struggling with the fact that the business is now in the position it's in due to decisions and actions that they have taken. So my real question is, how can I best reframe my thinking to set up our relationships for the best, whatever the business outcome? My family, because I love and care about them very deeply, and my business partner, because we'll continue to know each other in a professional context. Thank you.
Anything you want to add or clarify?
Yeah, the thing I thought as soon as I sent that voice note off, and I thought, I've ended by saying, I love my brothers so much, and my business partner is this guy I'm going to have to see forever, which doesn't do justice to our relationship. The fact that it's broken down now is really sad for me. I don't necessarily think it's recoverable, but he's still someone I really care about. So there is that professional side of things, but there's definitely also a sort of personal sadness about that relationship. I think since I sent the voice note, there's been one more call between the 4 of us, which was quite a difficult call. It's probably the most sort of visibly angry I've ever been about the situation. So possibly just even thinking about it in the context of our conversation has kind of helped me engage a little bit with my emotions around it. Other than that, the situation remains as it was.
We can focus on you, because you have a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts about what has happened. And that, of course, implies your relationship with each of these people. I think it's a good place to start, maybe, because I will understand also your role with your co-founder, with your brothers, with the family. I seem to have understood that there is something that you bring to the company that mirrors a kind of role that you have had in the family. there's a kind of a superposition between the role at home and the role at work. So can we start there? Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to listen a little bit and just take in the story.
Of course. So I'm the middle child and I'm the only girl with two brothers. Everything was very happy, I think, sort of very happy childhood, all of those kinds of things, fantastic parents. I love my brothers. I also really like my brothers. I would say we are.
As people.
As people, yeah, as people. Nice. I would be friends with them if I met them tomorrow.
Are they friends with each other?
Almost all the time, apart from work. I think it's really the only thing that's got in the way, certainly for the last 20 years, has been work. Since we all became grown-ups, we've all been good friends with each other in every combination. They are quite different people in some ways. In other ways, they've got probably similarities, which maybe outwork without me in that dynamic. They found themselves clashing in ways that when we all worked together weren't such an issue.
But you feel a sense of responsibility.
Completely. Yeah.
Tell me more.
Fundamentally, I think maybe it's on two levels. I think at work, essentially the buck stops with me. I believe that. I'm the director of the company. I'm an owner of the company. But fundamentally, what is my job if it's not to make sure the company is successful? If the buck doesn't stop with me, what is the point? So I think that feels very, very true, and that feels still true regardless of the fact that I've taken that operational step back. The difficulty now is I have far less control than I used to have. I don't feel less responsible, but feels like far less I can do about anything.
And is that a question that you have? The question being, should I go back to a more hands-on role so that I can have what you call control, is basically the resources, the means to actually execute on my responsibility?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I would not, for my own sanity, I would not go back. Over the last maybe 3 to 4 months, I have been doing a little bit more because it was necessary, but I would not go back on a day-to-day basis. I love my work life outside of this particular issue exactly as it is.
So you have a combination of, I'm actually really fulfilled and excited by my new job or new career or new venture, but I need to find a way to leave and to maybe close or sell in such a way that my new excitement doesn't screw up a bunch of other people.
Exactly that. And I think that's practical because I want to do the work that needs to be done with the company that we're talking about on a very practical level, but also emotionally, I feel so conflicted that 90% of my life is we're setting up a new company, we're doing this new thing, we have these new clients, and that's so exciting. And then I look back and I see my brothers and the team of the other company having a pretty awful time. And I just, bringing the two together feels brutal. So I find myself not talking about certain things and not kind of sharing the good times and the excitement with them because it doesn't feel appropriate. But it feels like a huge conflict.
Conflict or betrayal?
Oh, betrayal. Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah.
I mean, you seem to say, I feel like I'm betraying them by having such a good time somewhere else while their ship is sinking.
Yes, exactly that.
But at the same time, I'm pissed at them that the ship is sinking because it shouldn't be sinking, because we were doing really well. And basically, they mismanaged, they took bad decisions, or they're not as good as me, or what is it?
Yeah, I'm angry, and I can't say that to them because I know they are working so hard and have never not worked hard. But I'm really annoyed because I feel like I sat there we meet monthly as a board, which I sit on, and I sat there month after month saying, guys, look at the numbers, we have a problem, we have a problem, we have a problem. And I heard month after month, next month will be fine. It's short, it's temporary, it's short term. So I feel like it is not that none of us saw this coming. We talked about it, and I allowed myself to be put off until we find ourselves where we're at now. I even, before our most recent set of meetings, I went back and I read or listened to all of the notes from all of the meetings for the last year, because I thought, am I going mad? Did I not say any of these things? Is this genuinely a surprise to them? And it's just there, and it's infuriating.
And how did they react when you reminded them?
Throughout the process, they would say, oh, sure, but that was last month. This month is different. Now we've reached the point where we're at, where it's undeniable where we are. I think there's a huge emotional understanding they all have of it. I think they get it, but it's difficult because what does getting it practically do? I suppose we all feel probably like we don't have time to process the emotional impact of it, because we're so busy trying to bail water out of the ship that we just have to.
But it may not be that you let them kind of deflect. It may also be that while you saw the problem growing, you thought, I don't want to have to jump in to fix it.
Yes, that's probably true. I really did not want to jump in to fix it.
So you let them, you let them say what they said, even though you noticed, even though you pointed at it, even though you told them. But then, in order for them to recognize it, would have meant for you to become more involved again. And is there a story about why you stepped out?
There's two sides to it. So one is there were other really exciting things happening and offers I was getting to go and set up other things. And I was really excited about those. And they weren't things that could be combined with the role that I was previously doing. So that door was definitely open at a point when I was actually probably a bit bored of the sort of work that company does. So it was a good moment for me to look at those. There is on the sort of more negative side of the piece, there is the fact that, my relationship with my business partner having been a really strong business relationship, and I would say a really strong friendship, had started to break down. Essentially, it wasn't a good relationship for either of us. That was about 3 years ago.
Why? Why does a relationship that is so good and strong for 7 years suddenly decline?
Yeah, I think so. It's all personal things, really. So I went through a divorce, and he went through a very major breakup at almost exactly the same time. So when basically we'd been able to previously compensate for each other, I think if someone had a crisis or a personal issue, the other could step in. At that time, neither of us really could, and we probably both felt that deficit. And then from my perspective, I'm sure he would want to say similar, but from my perspective, I felt some of his behavior